Good day to all, my name is Mark, and I'm here with our third video of the season review. And today, I'll be talking about the Regens success stories that I have seen in Football Manager 2016. And this is a very, how do I put it, a very informative video, I would hope, because I will show you a lot of Regens that you would have never seen in the last reiteration of the game in 2015. I personally never saw it. I mean, I did see some exceptions, but for the most part, there were none. Alright, so the top team is in North America is the United States. And their best players are Matthew Vasquez, who I've mentioned, Alan Galvin, I also mentioned as well, Chris Barnes, Sean Silva, Vicente Salcido, Danny Barbaro. That's actually real. I don't know about this guy. Is he real? I don't think he's real. He's not. He's a very good winger. DC United. Now, this is the type of player you probably would not have seen in the last reiteration of the game. I hope it's carried over to 2017, which I'll hopefully acquire soon. And just looking at the stats, he's pretty decent, I guess, in MLS. His stats look way better, I suppose, on paper than his actual performances. But he did get 33 caps with the United States at the age of 25, 0 goals, primarily a winger, I suppose. And look at the national team. We got, let's see, highest value is Sean Silva from Southampton. He is a graduate from Los Angeles Galaxy. Right back, very solid, physically, pretty good. He's not great, but he has the agility and the stamina, positioning, all the good stats to make him a good wing back. As you can see, decent anyway. He'll never be world class, but at the age of 29, this is as good as he can get. 78 caps, 2 goals, solid player in my opinion. Vasquez, as I've mentioned before, 31, he's aging already. 133 caps, 48 goals, great player. Okay, I do keep his history. It's always important, I think, to see that there's progress being made. Just like in the real world, we have, oh man, what's his name? Christian Pulisic and Julian Green. Those are the two bright stars that are rising up in the United States national team. Who's this guy? Is he real? Oh, he's real. Brooks Lennon, I've never heard of this guy. Plays for Middlesbrough. Where's he from? Oh, he's from Liverpool, surprisingly. He didn't turn out very well. He's fast. 39 caps, 8 goals. Who else is there? I think it's about, Chris Barnes, a goalkeeper from Los Angeles Galaxy, and a very good goalkeeper, surprisingly. That's funny how he hasn't been poached out of the MLS, because he has 20 one-on-ones. I was thinking about acquiring this guy back when he was much younger during his early days, but I had other plans, so I couldn't make enough room. But if I knew he had 20 one-on-ones, 18 kicking, 17 handling, 16 aerial reach, 17 command of area, and 17 throwing, I would have snapped up this player big time. Just his stats are, I mean, they're pretty good. I'd say they're probably top of the MLS in terms of clean sheets. Doesn't get as many as you'd like, but he does a good job. 62 caps, 28. He's aging out already. Probably only has 7 more years max. Goalkeepers can play very long, as I've seen in this game. I usually let him go after 30 or so, but I haven't ever gotten that far. But that's probably the area I would aim for anyway, because I always like developing young players. And yes, I also picked up a American player by the name of Connor George, 19 years old. Hasn't had any caps yet, but in terms of his attacking ability, he seems to be very good. He's rated 4 stars potential, so supposedly he'll be pretty good. I don't know. I need to develop his physical stats because they're really crap right now. But his key stats are 16 dribbling, finishing, passing, work rate, aggression, 17 determination, 18 teamwork. So he seems to be a very solid player. Hopefully I can get him into my second team and run up some games there, and hopefully he'll improve. And the second part will be the rivals of the United States is Canada. Surprisingly, this is one of the big surprises that I've seen. And for example, Toronto seems to be the place that's cranking out a lot of these regens. And you look at this guy, Emiliano Trovo. I do not know how to pronounce that accent there. But he's Italian. Okay, that makes sense. But he's Canadian. Born in Canada, chose to be Canadian. And he plays for Gilson Kirchen. pretty much Schalke. They acquired him last season for 44 million. 33 appearances, 1 goal, 9 assists, 2 man of the match, a 7.49 average rating. And this guy is not world class. He is, as they call, cultured, which is pretty much the term that they use for players that perform, I suppose, close to world class. They're probably like the tier below it. And without a doubt, his acceleration is insane. Not insane, but it's hard to find in a Canadian player. And 108 caps definitely means he's done something, right? When he start September 2018, that's pretty amazing. And yeah, technically speaking, perfect center attacking central midfield. You can play on the right wing as well. I probably should have snapped up this guy, but Man City did for 5.75 million from Toronto FC. Yeah, Toronto FC graduate. It's very funny because even though how do I put this? They haven't put in the 3 years here. It's really dumb because if you go to their achievements, they joined the club in 2014, and by that time they're already 5 years into the club. But the academy years behind the scenes don't count. It's very weird. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because they only count from 18 to 21. I think it's even earlier. It depends on when they become. When they signed the contract, I suppose. So maybe he didn't sign a contract until that late. That kind of makes sense, I suppose. Let's see the national team. Who's the most valuable? Arabello. Decent winger. Can't really say much about him. I don't really know much. I don't really scout the US or Canada much. But 9 caps, 1 goal, 20 years old. Pretty mediocre MLS level technicals and mentals. Physically, accelerations 17, stamina 17, so he seems to be a very solid player. Is he native? He is native. Okay, but hard to say. I don't know. I haven't been too many guys that popped up. Andrew Doty, 65 caps, 22 goals. He's the main striker, I guess. Plays for Vancouver his whole career, and he smashes in plenty of goals, I'd say, for an MLS player. Let's see. Yeah, their team's pretty bad now I look at it. But I did pick up, I don't know if I picked him up yet. No, I haven't. Andy de Tomasis. I don't know how to pronounce that correctly. He's also Canadian. He looks like a very strong center back, promising as the media calls him. 16 jumping reach, natural fitness, strength, positioning, and tackling, 15 marking. So on paper, so far he looks amazing. And my scouts give me 3.5 or 2.5 guaranteed and 3.5 questionable. Who knows? Yeah, and same here from the two of my main scouts. And I'm willing to give him a shot, but I don't know. He'll definitely be in my second team. A lot of my players usually do well in my second team. I just haven't really put too much effort into that at the moment. And then for the next part, let's look at Asia. Nihon, as they call themselves. Japan. Alright. So, what can I say? They definitely don't have any leagues loaded in. I would like to load in their league, but for some reason, I guess there aren't enough Football Manager players over there, so no one's free enough to scout. It'd be nice if someone in Japan did scouting, so their league would be in the game. That'd be very nice. But in this weird format that they do have them in, you can see a lot of the players are shaded out. I don't know how you call it, not blacked out, but they're not functional unless the regens. And usually each team only has 1 or 2 regens, which is a pain to wait for the world-class Japanese player to show up. Or not world-class, but a player that can play in Europe, essentially. That can play for a Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Dortmund type, like Shinji Kagawa, Keisuke Honda from AC Milan, Shinji Okazaki of Leicester City. You get the point, I want those type of players. The players that, can function in Europe. And yeah, you can see a lot of their teams, they have a lot of regens. Like Yokohama, you can see a lot of regens. Not a lot, 5. But I found one. His name was Shintaro Tani, and I believe I told you about him in my first video introducing this series. And yeah, he's world class without a doubt. I'd say he's world class, but I guess he performs world class, like they say, current ability world class. But he's nowhere near the level of a Messi or Ronaldo, Ibrahimovic type. Although on paper he looks close to them, but he doesn't perform as well. This year I gave him not a lot of game time, but enough. Didn't get many hat tricks. I don't think he even got a hat trick, now I think about it. But solid player, 20 games. He started 19 goals, 9 assists, 5 man of the match, 7.93 average rating. Very productive, but overall a decent player. He's worth keeping around. 275k a week. It's not that bad. 29 years old. He's reaching the peak of his powers. I usually play my players to the point where they reach the peak before that. And I also found another guy, Jun Ozawa, and he played for FC Hiroshima and came in on a free. He did all right the first season, and then the second season he got a lot more game time, starting as a ball-winning midfielder centrally. I didn't play him in defensive mid, and a very fast player. He seems to be oriented towards box to box, but I don't really have plans to play in box to box. So nonetheless, he's a good player. 29 caps, 1 goal, 20 years old. Seems to be a solid player. And who else is there? They have more players like Takahiro Saito. He seems to be another solid player. Winger, agility, pace, determination, flair seems to be his big traits. He was a original academy player from Gelsenkirchen, I guess. Never heard of this place. Oh wow, N League Division 3. Wow. Oh, that makes me wonder. Does Gelsenkirchen actually have a? Are they really affiliates with these guys? Doesn't say. That's funky. Sometimes they do have affiliations. That's the only way I can imagine them picking them up. Some random player from Nihon League 3. I'm guessing that's what it means. I don't know. N League 3, Division 3 is. I've never heard of this club. Baubulitz Akita. I'll check that out later. But yeah, he plays for Red Bull Leipzig. 3.2 million. Very good player, surprisingly. Is he sub? He's a starter. Oh wow. And yeah, 27 years old. A pretty average player. Decent. Not the type of player I would want, but decent nonetheless. Who else they got? I know they have some guy that plays for Celtic. Is he South Korean? I guess he's dual nationality. Pretty solid. Left back, nothing really outstanding about him, but he is decent stats, tackling, positioning, concentration at 16. You know, average, nothing to be too crazy about, but nonetheless is a solid player. Makoto Takahashi, okay, I guess. Not really that great of a player. He's a substitute for Dusseldorf. Takahiro Shimizu, another decent player. He plays for Nuremberg. Is he native? No, he's not. He free transfer from Fumbashi Bandits. Never heard of him. Nihon League 1. I guess they're top tier. Cool. And then let's go to their rivals, South Korea. Something I've noticed is that they do produce some decent players. Let's see, where is he at? I forgot who he is already, but he's a foreign player. Okay, Mainz, Cho Kyun Min, and a very solid physically, mentally, pretty lacking on the technical part, but 15 finishing, first touch, is decent. It's fine enough to be a player. I mean, after all, he plays in the Bundesliga, so there must be something good about him, yeah? He's from Ulsan Hyundai, and he joined SK Sturm Graz in Austria for free. Then he moved to Mainz in his second season for 9.75 million, and he's done decent for a player of his quality. I mean, he's done very well for the national team. 66 caps, 58 goals, 29 years old. Solid player. I wonder if I could do any better with him. I don't know. He seems to be a very great player. Who else is there? Oh, right back. Oh, center back that can play on right back. Plays for Cologne. Very good physically once again. Heading, 16 marking, 16 positioning, 16. So very solid player. He went to Cologne from Seoul for 3.8 million when he was 20. So fantastic player, I'd say. Another guy, Sung Bum, plays for Watford. Very good niche player. Strength 17, positioning, work rate is same as well, heading. Very solid. Oh wow, he's danced around quite a bit. Seoul to Hamburg, Newcastle, Manchester United. Wow, Manchester United just picks him up and throws him out. What the? I see that often. FC Porto did the same thing, and then he finally landed in Watford, where he's done some good work for them, I'd say. Not exactly, world-class work, but good work nonetheless. 29 years old, 99 caps. Wow, he's about to hit the century mark. Nice. 3 goals. Very good player, I'd say. For a niche player, it's pretty good. So South Korea is a big outlet, I'd say. And then the big disappointment this year was China. Freaking bad. I mean, their players aren't horrible. They just won't survive in a real world European, Champions League. They'll never survive that. Probably the best player I've ever seen so far is Gao Yao, Go Yao, and he plays for Olympique Lyon. He just moved over there for $5 million from Cologne. He's a Guangzhou graduate, right? That's stupid. Dude, he played there for 3 years. What's going on? Maybe they have a different academy system there, but I'm sure he's been there for a long time. Been there from 2017. So when he was 14, but I guess he didn't really graduate until he was 17. But he was there for 3 years, yeah? Yeah, he was there for, I guess, not 3 years. Not enough for it to be 3 years, but silly excuses. But pretty much you could say he is a Guangzhou graduate. Very good right back. Solid physical, solid mentals. Not exactly outstanding. Pretty mediocre technicals. So it'd just be a decent fullback for you. But nonetheless, great player. Don't know if he could survive in Champions League. He'll probably do all right. But yeah, 25 years old, 60 caps, 2 goals. Solid player, valued at $7 million. Who else is there? I read there's anyone else. Yi Chang, pretty average winger from Guangzhou. Does all right. Gets at least 7.0. So 62 caps. Just no one outstanding from China. No. How do you put it? There's no great player that's shown up yet in 14 years of simulating. And then let's move to the Africa real quick. Let's try to cover this as fast as I can. It's gonna be a long video, just going through some notables that I've seen. And the best player I've seen, regen-wise, is Musa Kone. And he was from IFER, which is the Institut de Football Auman Richard. I don't even know what that is, but okay. Ivory Coast player. I picked him up for free in 2018-19. Then he was smashing up the second team, I guess, that he was playing. I don't know. They're out of the whole mix. They're in like a regional division because they got relegated in 2014-15. And yeah, he was smashing it up before I called him up to my senior team, and he did fairly well. His standout season was it this one? Yeah, it was this one probably. 19 appearances, 11 goals, 4 assists, 2 man of the matches, 8.07 average rating. He played some Champions League, not much. Yes, in his last season he played a lot of Champions League. He was my Champions League player. 13 continental matches, did fairly well. I still have a scout report of him. The only reason I played him there was because he enjoyed big matches. Very good player. It's just the problem was he was a big letdown in terms of, I don't know, his mental stats, I suppose. Just pretty meh. On and off days, I guess. Finishing was pretty poor. Marking, tackling. It's okay, I guess, for attacking midfielder. Not great. But yeah, overall, I think he's a great player. Alright. Let's go to the last stop in Africa. South Africa. And this is where you will see one of the greatest players I've ever seen in Football Manager this year. His name is Jacob Mabelane, and he plays for FC Barcelona. 84 million, 28 years old, 91 caps, 21 goals for South Africa. Blistering acceleration and great pace. Solid mentals. Great technical ability, and he was a graduate of Orlando Pirates, went to Braga for a couple seasons, 2 seasons, 2.5 I guess, then went to Bayern for big money, 46.5 million, and I thought he would be the biggest nightmare I've ever had, and he was the biggest nightmare I've ever had against Bayern, but eventually he left for the big money of Barcelona, 73 million transfer fee. Latest season, 32 appearances, 11 goals, 10 assists, 5 man of the matches, 7.79 average rating. And this guy, when he left the Bundesliga, I knew the Bundesliga was not going to be the same. When you lose one of the best players the world has ever seen, in my opinion, you know you're going downhill after that. And without a doubt, that season was a pretty big exodus for great players. But yeah, like South Africa, who would have thought, who would have thought a great player would come out of South Africa? I mean, I know they're a pretty big footballing nation. They hosted the World Cup. I forgot what year that was. I wonder if they have it on here. They do not. They probably do. Let me look it up. World Cup. I think they hosted in 2004, was it? Don't remember. 2010, my bad. 2010, yeah. They hosted it. Spain won. And South Africa, who would have known? Who's their best player anyway right now? Besides Ma Bolain. Oh, he's not even playing? What? That's weird. Senso John Makhole. Pretty decent player. He's good for what he can do, I guess. Not really as good as Ma Bolain, world-class level. Kaiser Chief graduate. Guy from Derby, plays at center back. Whoa, blistering pace. Blistering acceleration and pace from a center back. Oh man, those are classy stats right there. You can't find that very easily. Great strength. Oh wow, he came from Wits. Then went to Sundowns. Then went to FC Steaua Bucharest. I don't know how to pronounce that, but something like that. And then he went to Derby. Hey. Derby. Yeah, Derby's been doing pretty well. Is he gonna get poached? Oh man, another FC Barcelona target. It sucks for you, man. I mean, Derby. Must be a pain to lose their good players, eh? Thelani Smith, a winger. Pretty average. Plays pretty well for Bremen. But yeah, South Africa has a lot of good graduates. They have a lot of good academy players. You shouldn't underestimate them. Definitely worth a look, in my opinion. And then to wrap up the video, let's go back to Europe. And I'm going to talk about the Ukraine. One of the big surprise packages, I think. I think they were pretty decent in the FM 2015. I can't remember any specifics. But their best player that I've seen is Andrei Kravchenko. And physically amazing. The media calls him world class. On paper, he's world class. 20 off the ball, amazing. I wish I had a player that 20 off the ball, which I do. But he doesn't play as striker. Imagine him playing striker. He'd just be destroying the opposition for fun. And yeah, he played from Shakhtar, scored a lot of goals for a short duration before I moved to Gelsenkirchen for big money. And he scored a lot of goals there before he moved to Juventus for 75 million. So Gelsenkirchen lost a bunch of money, eh, Schalke? Yeah, I mean, in the game they're called Gelsenkirchen, but in the real world they're called Schalke. And yeah, 71 caps, 37 goals. Great from a Ukrainian player, in my opinion. Imagine what he could do in my team. But the estimated cost is too much for me to bear. Not worth it. Oh, he doesn't enjoy big matches. That's probably why his goal tally is a little low. And I'm guessing he's fairly consistent. Yeah, I prefer more consistent players, but it doesn't really matter. As long as they score goals, I'm fine with it. Surprising, though. I'd imagine... Oh, I mean, in Italy, the defenses are much meaner, so maybe he's having a tougher time. Another good regen that I've seen recently, Eugene Moroz. He plays for Bayern. They paid big money last year, 66 million to bring him in, and he had an amazing effect. 29 appearances, 1 goal, 14 assists, 11 man of the matches, 8.25 average rating in the league. And, this season he didn't do as well, but more or less the same. Came from Dnipro, 60 caps for Ukraine, 0 goals. Mentally amazing, physically, it's alright. Passable, technically pretty niche. Seems like to be inverted. Yeah, he's an inverted wingback. Never really played that. So inverted wingbacks, if I know correctly, they cut in. They play a lot more centrally than an average right back or left back. Another player I've never heard of, Roman Kozlov, 89 caps, 6 goals, 28 years old. Pretty average player. Still in Dnipro. But yeah, nonetheless, good players. Nikita Boykov, pretty niche player. 18 passing, 18 technique. Doesn't really stand out as anything special, but does alright. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. It's probably been a very long video. And yeah, the world has many surprises. If you didn't know, the population doesn't grow, sadly. It'd be nice if they grew, but I'm guessing that maybe that algorithm would be a little iffy and too difficult to solve per se. I don't know. But there are many gems, hidden gems, hidden players that you've never seen that will be amazing. I guarantee you. If you do enough research, get lucky and find, a surprisingly, gifted player. And if you're able to hang on to him, they could be a real club legend, eh? Anyway, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, if you found it informative, give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are new. 3 links below: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I update my Facebook and Twitter whenever I upload a video. And thanks for watching once again. This is World Talent FC. United to triumph.